Cheers guys, Epix911, welcome to the Elitist Geek. Today I want to show you guys the new 3DS and compare it to the old 3DS, XL specifically. For those who aren't aware, Nintendo of America is only releasing the 3DS XL new version of the 3DS in North America. So the smaller version, which I believe is being released in, or had been released in Australia and Japan, didn't make its way to North America. For me, that's no huge loss because I prefer the 3DS XL to the smaller one anyways. It helped with the 3D effect somewhat. And B, I just like a bigger screen. I've got good eyesight. It's not a question of the graphics being too small. To me, I just like bigger, right? Case in point, iPhone 6 Plus, which is a monster of a phone that a lot of people don't like, and I don't blame them. I get that, but for me personally, it's the first phone that I could read ebooks with and play games, etc., etc. So I like big. Back to the 3DS. So I purchased the black new 3DS XL, and you can see this is the unit here. It's got a bit of a gloss finish, so I'm going to just give it a quick wipe here. Hopefully it doesn't have fingerprints all over it. But unfortunately with gloss, as some of you may know, you get fingerprints. So that kind of sucks. But let's take a look at this, and then we'll compare it to the old 3DS. So a couple of things, let's just open it first. A couple of things that are going to be quickly apparent here, all right, is the left-hand side is essentially the same. And we'll take a look. This is the old 3DS XL in a CirclePad Pro peripheral. So you can see the left side is pretty much identical. The right side, however, is where most of the changes are. The right and the bottom of the console. So you can see on the new 3DS, if we hold it up close here, you've got the start and select buttons have been removed from the bottom of the display. So they've left only the home button here, all right? And they've moved start and select as smaller buttons to the right-hand side. They've also color-coded the X, Y, A, B buttons, you can see. And they've added a small circular analog nub. And it is analog, and so what that means is as opposed to being digital, it can, you know, take resistance into account. So a firm push versus a slower push are going to result in either slower or faster movement on screen with the camera or whatever the CirclePad Pro nub is attached to in the game. It is quite a bit smaller than the original analog nub, as you can see on the left-hand side, right? Do I like the feel of it? Not as much as the original CirclePad Pro. So let's go back to that for a second here. So as I mentioned, this is the original 3DS XL, and it's in the CirclePad Pro attachment. And what they did is they added basically a full-size circular analog nub to the right-hand side, as well as giving it some heft and good grip. They basically subbed the right button that's kind of obscured in the back here, so they recreated it here, and a ZR and a ZL button, which is exactly what the new 3DS offers on the back, albeit with a little less space for each. So the left and right buttons have less space, and the ZR and ZL are quite a bit smaller. But, you know, in terms of placement and feel, I've got no problem with this analog nub. I call it a nub. That's exactly what it is. And it's basically like, you know, the nubs that laptops, specifically IBM laptops, used to have. And the same idea, you know, that they used for mouse pointers on the keyboard. So I don't mind it. There's been reports of people saying it's a little uncomfortable in the long term. But I haven't found that to be the case. You know, it's been fine. Other differences? Well, we take a look on the side here. We see the same familiar 3D off to 3D Max. They have moved the volume, which used to be on the old 3DS, is on the right-hand side of the unit itself. Now what they've done is they've moved that to the top here. I kind of like that. I like that a lot. You've still got the flex on the hinge, so they haven't really addressed that. Same two settings, right? But the biggest change, and possibly the best incentive to upgrade, is the fix they have put in for the 3D effect. If you guys were like me, or if I'm like most of you in the accounts that I've read, this is how the 3D effect looked on the 3DS XL when I played. Off. Because you basically had to keep it in a specific, position. And any veering from that position, either with the unit itself or your eyes, resulted in you losing the 3D effect, going fucking cross-eyed, and losing your shit. So inevitably, what most people did is they just turned it off. I'm happy to report on the new 3DS, that's not the case. You can see there's a little infrared hole with an infrared tracking right next to the camera. The infrared will allow it to pick up your face in light and nighttime situations. Yes, you heard me correct. It will actually pick your face up at night using the 3DS. Now, it's not perfect. You can still lose the 3D effect, but it's pretty damn good. I would say it's, if the old 3D effect was 10 to 20% of what it should have been, this is 80 to 90 of what it should be. One thing I've noticed is it's more sensitive to you moving your head to losing the 3D effect than you moving the unit itself. So in other words, if you keep your head pretty much in one position without moving it too much, you can give a lot of flex on the unit itself, a lot of movement, without losing the 3D effect. That's not to say it can't handle you moving your head. Absolutely it can. It's just more sensitive to losing the tracking via your head moving too much versus you moving the unit too much. That's all. Other differences, you'll notice that the stylus, rather than being on the side, is now at the bottom front. The headphone jack has been moved over, and the cartridge slot, rather than being on the back, has been moved to the front. I've got no problem with that. I like that as well. So all in all, would I recommend this device, this new device, to people who already own this, which is the 3DS XL and a CirclePad Pro? Well, let's look at the pros and cons of that. So the first question I ask is, what does your library look like? And that's important, because if you have a few of the 8 to 10 games that were developed to take advantage of the CirclePad Pro, Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, Monster Hunter 3, Kingdom Hearts, and there's a few more, then absolutely you're going to get a benefit, because you're going to retain the functionality for those games via the nub. But more importantly, you are going to be future-proof. I have a feeling that while developers aren't going to necessarily go designed for the nub, because let's face it, the largest user install base is still going to be people without the CirclePad Pro attachment or who do not have the new 3DS. And therefore, they're likely going to do a dual control architecture, meaning we're going to probably see an increase of games where having the new feature is going to be a benefit, but not a block. I.e., you'll still be able to play the game and enjoy it, but probably not as much as if you had the CirclePad Pro or the nub. But therein is one more important difference between the two units. The old 3DS has 2 cores. The new one clocked the same speed, is my understanding, but instead of having 2 processor cores, it has 4 processor cores. And this is important because there is at least one game that we know of, Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, coming out in April, that is going to be designed specifically to take advantage of the additional cores presented in the new 3DS. So, long story short, if you're a Xenoblade fan and looking forward to that game, the old 3DS XL with the CirclePad Pro LL is not going to cut it. You're going to need the new 3DS to play that. All right? So that's huge. There's probably going to be more games like that. I don't think there's going to be a ton, but I'm willing to bet at least half a dozen minimal, between now and the end of the lifespan. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if all of those are pivotal, amazing games, it's still going to be a compelling reason to upgrade. I mentioned some of the earlier games that are compatible. So I've got a few of those. I've got Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, I've got Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, Kingdom Hearts 3D, and just purchased yesterday Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. So for me, there was a compelling reason. I also bought Zelda, Majora's Mask 3D. So those are the new titles I bought. But some of the upcoming games that I'm looking forward to, including the new Etrian Odyssey 2 remake, is not going to care if you have the extra nub or processors. Etrian Mystery Dungeon, another game I'm looking forward to, again, won't care. But Xenoblade for sure will. So for me, having the back library, looking forward to Xenoblade, this is a compelling upgrade for somebody like me. One last thing that you might want to consider in upgrading. Nyko, or Nico, is an excellent third-party company in terms of making worthwhile peripherals. And one of the peripherals I always look forward to during the lifespan of any handheld is their battery upgrade. That's the other reason you may want to go with a new 3DS XL. In other words, if you want to take advantage of that analog nub, plus have your unit still be compatible for, something like the Nyko Power Pack, which are usually screwed onto the bottom, you're going to want this new unit. The old one won't cut it. And that was one thing that I didn't like about the CirclePad Pro attachment, is that it prevents you, based on the thickness, from using one of those third-party accessories to enhance the battery life. Because while the new unit is about 30 minutes longer in battery life, you get extra 30 minutes generally, it's still not ideal. And I am definitely going to buy a third-party battery when it becomes available to add to the bottom to give it anywhere, 40 to 100% more battery life. So that's probably the last consideration that may be important to you. Curious what you guys think. Did I miss anything? Any other points? Any other points for me? Let me know. I'll end the video here, guys. Comments on the bottom if you like. And subscribe if these are the types of videos you like. I do tech vlogs, reviews, unboxings, and inane rambles from time to time. As always, guys, till next time, cheers.